It's hard to remember that there was a time when this organization didn't exist. My father started his own plaintiff's firm in, I think it was 1963, and he was terrified, and he needed other kindred spirits. And there were about 3 or 4 other plaintiffs' lawyers throughout the state, and he needed them, and they needed him. They wanted to be a potent political force, which at the time it was about 4 or 5 guys meeting in some conference room in the Holiday Inn in Greensboro. Alan Bailey, Charlie Blanchard, Howard Twiggs, Bill Thorpe. And I remember I didn't know exactly what he was excited about, but he was, oh yeah, these guys, we're gonna make this happen. I'm like, oh, my dad's pretty cool because he's excited about something. And they made it happen.
Well, Charlie was just I think a born leader. If you look at every major legal establishment in North Carolina, he either started it or has been president of it or both, or at least very active in it. I mean, literally every one. And that also is national too. He's a member and president of several national organizations, and then also even internationally. He was a member and I believe president of the International Society of the Barristers, which he called the International SOBs, and participated extensively in, I mean, everything from Wake County Bar all the way up to the state bar constantly. And that was that was very important to him. And he passed that along to other lawyers in his firms. If you look at every lawyer in all of the firms that he was ever associated with, everyone was in leadership. Howard Twiggs was president of ATLA nationally. Lots of other people, Doug Abrams and Peggy Abrams, both presidents of the Academy. He made it very clear that it was important to be involved in leadership in legal groups in North Carolina.
Somebody has to be the glue. Charlie, it was the glue of the organization. He was the one who would see where things were going in his own way. He would create an environment where people with strong opinions and powerful visions were able to turn them into reality and not go after each other.
But I think the thing that was most impressive was kind of the quiet encouragement that he gave to women lawyers. Not just myself, but he really saw a place for women in the law. Charlie was incredibly proud when I became president of NCAJ and was just really enthusiastically supportive of me and encouraging to me in that role. He loved the Academy so much and loved NCAJ, once we changed our name, so much. I think it was really nice for him to see that, this thing that he cared about so much was something that we cared about equally, and we're really willing to put in the time to keep it growing.
He was one of these trial lawyers who you couldn't help but like. You just couldn't. If you were the opponent, if you were a witness he was crossing, you just couldn't help but like the guy. And jurors just loved him because he was vulnerable, he was honest, he wasn't like so many lawyers, and that is stuck up on himself. He never raised his voice when he objected. I learned probably in my career, that is probably the number one lesson I ever learned. to make sure everybody in the courtroom likes you, everybody loves you. Because as a lawyer, you are the least important person in the entire courtroom.
We took tennis extremely seriously. He was a very competitive human being, and he was a very good tennis player, but part of what made him a great tennis player was it really mattered to him. Each shot mattered. You could see in him this dogged determination. For somebody who never knew Charlie, you would want them to know about Charlie is he was a person who refused to accept losing as a viable alternative.
About 17 years ago, Charlie had a stroke and I believe a heart attack too, and he was in the ICU over at Rex, and it was very grim. I would go to see him and we'd just sit with him and talk to him, but he was not, he was on a ventilator, was not, conscious or responding in any way. And his daughter, Anna Neal, who's also a lawyer and practiced with his firm for years, she called me one day and said, "Philip, I think it's about time we start working on his obituary." And I have a Blanchard file of just clippings and things and notes, so I got that together. She got her things together, and we started preparing an obituary for him. And it was real long, and all of his accomplishments, if you put everything in a obituary, it would be pages and pages. But we started working on it, and it was very sad, but all of the doctors were saying this is grim, and you just need to prepare yourselves. And so we started doing that, and then next thing I know, early one morning, it was either over Thanksgiving or Christmas, I was sitting at home drinking some coffee, and my phone rang, and I looked down, and the caller ID said Rex Hospital. And I said, okay, this is the call. Here it is. So I reluctantly picked up the phone. I said, hello? And there's that sound that you hear when somebody's passing a phone around. You can hear it rustling in the background, and I heard it and heard that noise. I was like, what in the world's going on here? A couple seconds later, I heard this voice that said, Miller? And I said, Blanchard? And it was Charlie. And he had just decided he was going to wake up, and didn't take any time getting back to Blanchard. He was asking me about, okay, what's going on, Smith case, Jones case, was right back, just had a full recovery. Now, he still had some lingering physical issues, but he played tennis after that, so we got 17 more years out of it. So it was a scary time, but a wonderful result came from it.
I think one of the things about Charlie that is so incredibly special and is really, really special to the Advocates for Justice is the fact that he deeply, deeply cared about every person who was a member of this organization and really wanted every person to succeed. He also really, really wanted the organization to succeed, not only to educate and support the members, but also to make North Carolina a better place to live. He took the advocacy role of the advocates extremely seriously. It was something that he cared a lot about. He was quiet about it, but he cared a lot about it. He worked a lot behind the scenes on legislation and lobbying in his younger years when we were in his firm. It was always something really very close to his heart that he wanted North Carolina to be the best place it could be for the citizens of North Carolina. And he took his work as a lawyer and his work as a member of NCAJ very much to heart to make that happen.